Hey there, today is a very special day because I am interviewing Melissa Maris of Raw Food Romance. Melissa is responsible, it's all her fault that I am now going raw vegan for the most part, about 70%. I do most of my meals raw. There's a few in the evening that I don't, but it's all Melissa Maris's fault, and I am so grateful to her because it has changed my life. I have more energy, and I met her in another bundle I was in earlier this year. It was the Ultimate Weight Loss Bundle, and Melissa was part of that as well. And I just saw her beautiful creations that she does of all different foods, and I mean, she does everything: soups and wraps and fillings and lasagnas, and I mean, like stews and whatever it is that you want to eat, she can do it raw. As a matter of fact, one of the ebooks in the Raw Vegan Bundle, which is the bundle we're in now together, which is for sale only until May 11th, she does Chef AJ's recipes raw. So she took I'm not sure how many there are, quite a few, maybe 30 or so recipes from Chef AJ, or 28, that she, Lissa, makes raw. And they are divine. I mean, divine. And then Lissa has another ebook in the Raw Vegan Bundle called Hand Salad. So they're actually wraps, and she puts beautiful fillings inside, and every wrap with filling has an accompanying sauce. So Lissa's going to join us very soon, and she's going to tell you her story. So I'm going to wait for her to ask to join, and then you will find out everything you ever wanted to know about Lissa Maris of Raw Food Romance. So stay tuned. This is going to be good. The things that she makes are miraculous. I'm telling you. I mean, there are 40 ebooks in this bundle, the Raw Vegan Bundle, for only $50. Altogether, if you bought each ebook individually, it would cost you $1,854. It is not that much. It is $50. It's a great deal. It will change your life. And even if you don't like all the ebooks, even if you only like 2 or 3, it's totally worth the price, because you're going to get so much value out of what you like. And you're going to like more than that. You're going to love mostly everything in this bundle. I have already read a book about chakras, how to rebalance your chakras, how to do yin yoga is one of the ebooks. So it's not just food. There are 400 raw food recipes. However, there are topics in there that are not just about food. So if there's one about transforming your life, manifesting your dream life, that's very, very good. I read it in one sitting. It was I was really drawn into it. There's one about how to earn more money. There's just every topic that you ever thought of where you want to improve your life. That's in the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle, and you can get it in my bio. There's a link in my bio. You could just click and get it right now, or you could just hang on and wait for Lissa to get on. I'm still waiting for her to ask to join. I don't see her yet. Let me see why she's not here. But she will be. She will be here soon. Anyway, let's just, Lissa, where are you? I'm sure she's very busy, so I'm sure she's going to come on any minute now. So if you have any questions while we're on live, I want you to ask them in the comments section so that we can ask her right when we're on. So we get her we get her answer right away. And if you want to ask privately, then you can let's see. Oh, here she is. Okay. All right. She's coming. She's coming. She's coming. Lissa Maris is in the house. um, let me get her. Okay, here she is. Oh, okay. Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Lissa.
hello, hello.
I just gave you a 3-minute introduction.
Hi. Well, thank you very much. Sorry, I've been like
It's
so
okay.
frazzled
It's okay.
with the bundle. So
I,
like
I
trying to
know.
make sure I'm on
I
time for
already
everything.
said you're very
but thank
busy.
you.
You're in charge. You have a lot on your plate. No, it's no worries. I just got to talk a little bit about you. So, see, my audience is not as familiar with you as your audience, obviously. So that's why I gave a little bit of an introduction. But of course, I'm gonna ask all the questions because I find you fascinating. You're very inspirational to me, and I know you'll be inspirational to my audience. So I just want to start out by asking you, I don't know the answer to this. How did you and Nate meet?
Ooh,
Nate
my
is
favorite
Lissa's
question.
husband. Okay, go.
Okay.
And they're both raw.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's the story. I went raw in 2014, and Nate went vegan around the same time, but we didn't know each other at all. He's in the United States, I'm in Canada, we're both doing our own thing, whatever. He goes vegan with his son around then, and I go raw vegan in 2014. So after losing 70 pounds, I cleared up my cystic acne, I balanced my hormones, I came out of like mood disorders, like all kinds of stuff healed when I went raw. And I started sharing my journey on social media. So I was in Facebook groups, and I started my Twitter and my Instagram and all that. Anyways, I was getting a lot of people asking like, what can I eat? What recipes do you have? So I'm like, I wrote Meal Plan Volume 1, and this was now, oh gosh, like almost 8 years ago, I guess. Like it feels like it's so long ago. But I've been raw for now 9 years. So in 2014, I go raw. About a year after that, I wrote my Meal Plan Volume 1. And in around 2016, Nate discovered me on YouTube because he was like, his mom had health issues and stuff, and he was exploring like, the natural health industry and veganism and all kinds of stuff. And he stumbled upon my YouTube channel, and he was like, this chick knows what's up, right? Like her meals look good. Be like, like he really liked my message about like focusing one day at a time and falling in love with food, because my Instagram and everything is raw food romance, because my whole thing is fall in love with real
Okay.
food, right? With raw food. So that's why I called it raw food romance. So you're
Okay.
building a healthy relationship with food, and you're falling in love with it. So he really liked that about my name. So he started watching all my YouTube channel, my videos and everything.
Okay.
And then he bought my
Yeah.
book, Meal Plan Volume 1. I have no idea who he is. He's just somebody who bought my book, right? Like, I have no idea. And then he goes to the
Okay.
Woodstock Fruit Festival, and he meets my friend Jack. And Jack Albrighton, he's another raw foodie.
Okay.
He's Raw Tropical Living on Instagram. And Jack was in Costa Rica for a while, like years ago. And I went to visit Jack because we're friends, right? So I went and hung out, and he took me around, and we did sightseeing and stuff. We ate raw food. We had a great time. And Nate knew that I was friends with Jack. So when he went to Woodstock, I couldn't go to Woodstock that year because I had photography commitments, because I was a full-time professional photographer. I did weddings and newborn photography. I was like a professional freelance photographer. So I couldn't go to Woodstock that year. But Nate did, and he met Jack when he was there. And him and Jack talked for hours, and Nate was like, I love Lissa, she's amazing. And so he's like, she changed my life, her book is awesome, blah, blah, blah. And again, still, I have no idea who Nate is. And then, so Jack sends me a message and is like, this dude is so cool. You need to interview him for your YouTube channel. And like interview, because he used your book and he lost 60 pounds and, you know, it changed his life and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Like just another person that we can inspire other people. So we reached out to each other and we're like, okay, do you want to set up a date or whatever? So we recorded a video where I just asked him like how he enjoyed the meal plan, blah, blah, blah. And while we were doing the interview, I'm like, this guy is so cute. I'm like, I really like him or whatever. And I mean, like, I knew some of his backstory, like he was like into another girl or whatever. Like there was a story behind that. But so I just thought he was cute and I really liked him. And then we just started chatting like on Instagram back and forth, and I'd message him in the morning and he would be really responsive to me, and we became really good friends on social media. And then like quickly it became like a lot more than that. And we met at a Fruit Luck. I flew down to Portland, and we met in Portland, and we went to this Fruit Luck, and it was like, yeah, totally just fell in love like hardcore. So, and I was in Canada. I was living in Canada because I'm Canadian. So in order for us to be together and to actually have a relationship, one of us had to move. And in order to do that, you need a visa. And in order to get a visa, I was like, well, let's just get married. So we went to a lawyer and we started the fiance visa process, the K1 visa. And so it, like over the next year and a bit, I would fly to Oregon and I would stay with Nate for 3 weeks because like online stuff is my job. So I like arranged my photography so that I really wasn't doing as much photography at that time. So I was able to come down to the States and I could spend time with him, and then I'd fly back to Canada. And then once I got approved, then he came up to Canada because I wasn't allowed in the States. Like it was a crazy time. Yeah, but we made it work. We made the long distance thing work, and then we got married at Woodstock in 2019. So it'll be our 4-year anniversary in August. But that's how we met. He bought my book, and I
love that story. And it just goes to show that you never know how you're going to meet your soulmate. It's just, that is so random.
It is, I know, and I was not expecting it, and he wasn't expecting it, but we're like, we're both raw foodies. And I taught him how to eat, so it's like so nice.
And you know, a lot of people tell me who do whole food plant-based, not necessarily raw, that their husbands don't eat that way, so they have to make a separate meal. And I love the fact that both of you eat the same way. It must be so easy to just prepare meals, and it's a hobby you do together. It's not even a hobby; it's your life. So anyway, I admire that so much about the two of you, that you're such partners in this, and that I imagine that helps a lot, that you're both on board with this particular lifestyle. So, okay, so now we all know how you guys met, which is the greatest story I ever heard. And so I know you've told the story a million times, but my people don't know the story about how your health was compromised many years ago. You mentioned it just now a little bit, but to go into the detail of that, and then how you just transitioned into this lifestyle that totally transformed. Your face is gorgeous. I mean, you said you had cystic acne. I mean, there is not one iota of any blemish on your face now. And you said your health was compromised. So just talk about how the raw vegan lifestyle has totally transformed the way you feel, the way you look. I want to know, and my people want to know that story so they can be inspired by it.
Awesome. Yes, I haven't told my story in a little while, so it's really cool that I get to share it again, because I've got a lot of new followers who are probably popping in who haven't heard it either. So this is great. This is great. So I was born with a compromised gut because my mom didn't breastfeed me, and bless her soul, she didn't know back in the late 70s. It's like, you're taught like, oh yeah, breastfeed or bottle feed, it's better, right? So she bottle fed me, and I started life off without that really important bacteria that we're supposed to get from our mothers when we're babies. So also, there's a family history of gut disease in my family. My mom had colon cancer. My uncle died with Crohn's disease. And so I had already a compromised gut, and I had a family history of gut issues. So that started life out really challenging for me. And then when I was around 19 years old, I went to see a naturopath because I was having a lot of gut issues. And she diagnosed me with the tests and stuff that I had candida overgrowth and a dysbiotic gut. So she was like, do anti-candida diets and take all these herbs and pills and do this fast and whatever. Like I did for the next, I don't even know, like it would have been 15 years, because from the age of 19 to age 34, because I went raw when I was 34. So in that whole entire time, I did countless cleanse kits, anti-candida diets. I went 9 months with like, it was like a keto style diet, like no sugar. I didn't even have like any fruit, hardly. It was like, yeah, very, very restrictive. I did that for 9 months, and the candida still came back, right? Because I was not changing the foundation of what I was putting in my body. I was like so focused on starving the yeast out instead of feeding my gut. So that was around 19, and I battled with candida overgrowth symptoms like the brain fog, the yeast infections every month or two, bladder infections every month or two. I had a very low immune system. I was sick, like with a flu, it seemed like every month. I was just like, yeah, and I had serious cystic acne, like hard nodules that would be under the skin. And then it was like really red and inflamed. And then I was anxious, like I had a lot of anxiety, and I would like touch my face too much, and that would cause it to spread. And like mood disorders, you name it. I was like, I was not enjoying life. But so from then, I started working at a natural health store around 2001. That's when I started like learning a lot more about health in general, because I was already trying to change, like you're still eating animal products and lots of oils and all this stuff, because that's what the naturopath told me to do. So I thought I was doing good, but it wasn't really helping me in the long run. So when I started working at the health store, I started to learn a little bit more here and there. And in 2004, that's when I was introduced to raw food. And back then it was very like high fat, gourmet, lots of nuts, lots of avocados, very little fruit. Like there was still a lot of fruit fear. And plus I was still stuck in diet culture where it's like, eat less. Like, you eat like your BMR. And I'm like, trying to restrict, and I couldn't do it. It was just so hard. But I resonated with the idea of raw. I was like, this makes sense. Like eating food the way nature made it, without cooking it, without doing much to it, like maybe blending, dehydrating, whatever. Those are like very light processing, like cutting, whatever. So in 2004, that's when I was introduced. And then for the next decade, I tried raw like probably over 100 times. I would like go on raw for like a week and I'd be all happy, and then I'd crash and burn, and then I'd eat whatever. And I would go through my phases. I did keto. I did the Weston A. Price deal. I did like the Weston A. Price Nourishing Traditions, and I did raw animal products at one time, but I never had the vegan connection. I didn't have that I was more connected to raw than I was to the vegan part. Because like people always say to me, they're like, why are you vegan? I'm like, well, if you were vegan, you'd know why I was vegan, right? Because when you get that connection, it makes sense. And it's really hard to explain that to somebody. So at that time, I didn't know, like, I didn't have the connection. I understood veganism. Like I knew why people were vegan, but I didn't have that deep connection with it. And the reason for me to go vegan. So I tried again, like I said, back and forth here and there. I do raw for a day. I do raw for a week. I think the longest I went was about 2 months. And I was just like restrictive. Like I was eating really high fat because I was scared of eating fruit. I'd eat like one piece of fruit. I remember one time eating like 3 oranges because that's what I felt like. And I felt guilty for eating them because I was so indoctrinated that we need high fat and sugar was evil, even from fruit. And so I kept falling off and I couldn't figure out why. And then I would come to the conclusion like, oh, raw's not ideal. You know, like we can't be raw because I can't be raw. Like, well, I was doing it wrong. But anyways, so I go through this and then I'm having like all these symptoms. My gut's not getting better. My face is getting worse. My mood is getting way worse. Like I'm going through like bitchy stage to like nice stage to, you know, like I was like not having it. So I also had excruciating joint pain. Like I couldn't bend down, like, and I would wake up in the morning and I would have to roll my ankles for a couple minutes to warm them up just to get out of bed. And I was 34. And then I was eating the worst that I was at that point, because in 2010, that's when I quit my health food store job, or 2011. And I went to work for myself, freelance photography full time, because I couldn't juggle both jobs. I was already sleep deprived. My health was compromised and I had to choose. So I decided to go with my photography. So at that point I was like, yay, I'm gonna be at home. I'm gonna be able to be healthy. That's not a thing. People think like, oh, if I only had more time, I'd be healthy. But it's not. Like you have to change the habit in order for it to work, because I just got more unhealthy when I started working for myself. You know, I'd go through my spurts, obviously. I would do raw for a week and then I would crash and burn again. And so what would it be? I would say like 2012-ish, around there, I joined the gym and I did like a 2-month challenge. So you pay for the trainer and they work with you for 2 months straight, and they have you on like a really like on point diet. And you're entered into this competition. If you win the best transformation, you'd get like either a year of personal training or a trip somewhere or whatever. So I joined that and I did, it was like, I think that time at the gym really set my body up for the worst year of my life, because I was eating, like, get this, she had me like writing in a food journal. So I would write down what I have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I wasn't allowed to eat like X amount of grams of carbs and all whatever. It was very high animal products, and I was allowed oils, of course. But I was eating, get this, some days when I add those days into Chronometer, I was eating 800 to 1,200 calories a day. And I was working out at the gym 1 to 2 hours a day. And I was exhausted. My joints were so inflamed. My face was breaking out so bad. But I was doing it because the trainer told me to, and I believed I was eating healthy. I thought I was on point. She sent me home from the gym twice because I had no energy to do the workouts. And so after that challenge, I lost 20 pounds, but I hated it. It was exhausting. And I was like, if I have to put this much work in to be healthy, I don't even want to do it. I don't care. So at the end of the 2 months, I started binging on everything that was not ideal. Like potato chips and pizza. And then I'd be like, oh, I'll just do it this once and then I'll get back on it tomorrow. And then I never did, obviously. I gained all the way back plus more. I was almost 200 pounds. And I was drinking 1 to 2 energy drinks a day. I was eating a bag of Doritos for breakfast. I was eating a lot of junk food and takeout, because I feel like when you restrict yourself that much for a longer period of time, your body just snaps the other way dramatically. And I was just like, I couldn't stop myself. I was so like, my body was so deprived, not only of the calories, but like nourishment. So I was just eating whatever felt good, and I didn't care, and I was like, whatever. But I had so many health issues. So I was drinking 2 energy drinks a day most days. And every night, probably like 5 to 6 nights a week, I would wake up with these heart flutters. And it would feel like I was having a heart attack in the middle of the night. And then I couldn't get back to sleep because I'd be like, what if I actually died? You know, like, and then you can't sleep when you're thinking of that kind of stuff. And I hated sleeping. It was the worst time. So I woke up one night with these heart flutters, and it was September 11th or September 12th. And I was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I'm like, I'm on the edge of something. I probably already have diabetes. I'm probably going to get some kind of disease in the next year or whatever. I need to do something about my health. I cannot keep waking up at night having these flutters, or I'm going to die of a heart attack or something. So I get up the next day. It was September 12th, and I start diving into the raw food thing again, because I'm like, this is the only thing that makes sense to me. But I couldn't figure out why I wasn't able to do it. So I started watching Fully Raw Christina, and I started diving into the low-fat version, because I'd never done the low-fat version of raw before, ever, because I was scared of doing low-fat, and I was scared of eating fruit and like more greens and eating volume and eating calories, because I was so indoctrinated to be scared of fruit, to be scared of calories, and we all need all this fat and animal products. So it was a big shift for my mind to accept and be like comfortable with the idea of trying it, and to trust the process. So I was like, okay, well, if Christina's been raw for X amount of years and she's fine, I'm going to try it, right? I'm going to try the low fat thing. So I did, and I learned quickly that you have to eat a lot when you're on a low fat raw diet, because the calorie density of raw food is so low. You need to eat more volume in order to get enough calories. So I quickly learned that, and I was eating massive salads. I was drinking like 1,000-calorie smoothies and fruit in the morning, and I was eating abundantly, and I finally felt good for the first time in my life. I was like, I can do this. I feel full. I feel satiated. I feel good. I feel energized. I feel what raw is supposed to feel like. I wasn't burdened down by all the fat and all the like not enough sugar from the carbs and everything. So I started doing that. And within 14 months, I lost 70 pounds. My candida balanced itself out completely on its own. I didn't have to take any like candida killers or cut out fruit, or I even ate mushrooms and nutritional yeast and all of that stuff that people say don't eat when you have candida. I did those diets for 15 years. I did the no mushrooms and the no sugar, and it didn't work for me. I was like, I had to feed my own microbiome. So my microbiome fought off the yeast all by itself. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to eat the fiber and the fiber variety. So I was eating, which I still do now. I do fruit in the morning, a salad for lunch, and a salad for dinner. Or like if I do for dinner, I'll be like a salad in disguise is what I like to call it, like a burger or whatever. Just a different way to prepare vegetables. But I do a sweet in the morning and then 2 savory meals for the most part. And yeah, so I lost 70 pounds. I cleared up my cystic acne. My hormones balanced for the first time in my life. I was having regular monthly cycles, when before it would be like 3-4 times a year. I would have a cycle, sometimes 9 months in between. I would not have a cycle. So my cycle was messed up, but after going raw, it balanced it out. My mood balanced out. I had so much more energy. My joint pain went away. Like all of the issues that I have been dealing with. My heart flutters went away because I stopped the energy drinks and I stopped the junk food. And I finally found freedom with myself. I finally found the joy of life, and I finally found a way to like live and be without being kind of in prison with who I was and what I was eating and my life. Because my life, like you know, like my life completely changed when I changed my diet. My career changed. My partner changed. I live in the United States now. Well, I never thought I would ever have moved to the United States. Like everything about my life is completely different now, all because I chose to change what I was eating. And I know it's not for everybody. Obviously, not everyone's going to like change everything about their life. But for me, that was the trajectory of my life. And it was all because I started to eat raw food. And now I'm like 9 years in, my microbiome is stronger than anybody's gut test that I've ever seen personally. I'm sure there's people with stronger guts than me out there, but my gut score is 93%. My diversity score is 99%. I'm like, I'm doing pretty good, I think. And it's just been the biggest gift ever. To go
that is,
that's my
love
story.
That story. I hope people who are listening are inspired by this story, because a lot of people do have these issues and they lose hope and they don't know what to do. And so this is such an inspiring story that you have really come around 100%. You made it 180, and you are thriving beyond your wildest dreams, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure you, yeah. So
yeah.
can you talk about the different foods that you make? And also, people are asking, how do you test your gut health? So if you just want to answer that question first, and then we'll go into the food.
Yeah, so I posted in the chat, Ombre Lab, if you guys can see. It's Ombre Lab. That's the place that we go to get our gut tested. You actually don't have to go anywhere. You order the test online and they send it to your house. You take a poo and you take a sample of your poo and you put it in the little vial and you mail it back to them. It's really easy. And then they email you with all your test results to see where you're at, because everybody has a different gut microbiome. They're like our fingerprints. Everyone's gut microbiome is different. So we need to know where we're at so that we can know where we need to go. So yeah, that Ombre Lab, Viome is really good. Biome site is really good, but people can message me if you're not in the United States. I can get you,
thank you for that. Okay, so let's get into the really delicious stuff that you make, which I am just, I don't even have the words. That it is just so delicious. I'm so, every time I make one of your dishes, I'm so excited because I know it's going to be great. So now I'm into the wraps, of course. So can you go through what is in the, well, let's talk about the bundle because that's what we're here for right now. But in general, what kinds of foods do you make in addition to your salads that people can look forward to when they make food like you like to eat?
Awesome. Okay, so first up, the bundle. The bundle is amazing, you guys. You can get the bundle at the link in Debbie's bio or the link in my bio. Go get the bundle. Like, go click the link and go see all the goodies you're getting, because the bundle is special. The raw bundle is special because number one, it's all raw food. Number two, it's oil-free. I mean, even before number one, it's all vegan, right? So it's all vegan, it's all raw, it's low fat, it's oil-free, and you're getting all brand new content from all the contributors. So there's not like repeats or stuff that we sell, you know, in the past. Teams Newman is saying the bundle is a must-have. Yeah, the bundle, every year that we do the raw bundle, it's always brand new content. So even if people bought it last year, this is brand new. It's like a completely different collection of content we've never before released. I've got my brand new raw vegan wraps ebook in there. Chris Kendall has his new stews ebook in there. My husband has a raw vegan kitchen essentials course, which teaches you how to build a raw kitchen. Like, what do raw foodies use in the kitchen? So if you buy the bundle, you get 40 brand new ebooks and courses for 50 bucks. We're gonna sell everything after. But if you were to buy everything after, it would cost you over $1,800 to buy everything at regular price. But in the bundle, only until May 11th, you can get everything for $50, but you have to click the link in our bio and go to the website and buy it and download it so that you have all the stuff on your device, and put it in backup too. As a side note, make sure you put the files in backup. But so yeah, for me, for what we eat, the wraps have become a staple. Since we started, so the story behind the wrap book is I pulled my Instagram probably about a year and a half ago or a year ago, and I was like, what ebook do you guys want to see next from me? And I got an overwhelming response for raw wraps. And I was like, I sort of kind of got a little anxious because I've never been able to make raw wraps. I followed raw wrap recipes. I've made quite a few in the last 9 years, even like before I went fully raw, like in those 10 years where I was like practicing raw, I tried making raw wraps, and every single time they would curl up on the edge, they'd get too crunchy or crusty, or they'd be too soft in the inside. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm following the instructions like word for word. So when my followers wanted me to make a wrap book, I was like, oh, how am I gonna do this, right? So I got out my thinking cap and I started to play around with some recipes, and I tried some and they just weren't turning out, and I was getting really frustrated because I was like, how in the world are we gonna make this work? Because I know like commercial wraps that you can buy in the store that are raw, they use coconut or coconut oil as one of the bases. So it's like, I don't want them to be high fat I want them to be low fat. So like, how am I supposed to figure this out? And then my husband and I, we were like wrapping one of the wraps, and I took it out early because the edges were like rock hard, crusty. And I was like, okay, well, if they're crusty, they're not going to look good on video when I'm wrapping it. So I'm going to take it out early and then wrap it. But when I took it out early, the inside was too soft. So when I wrapped it, it all ripped apart. And I was like, the wind was taken out of my sails. So the wraps that were left in the dehydrator, they were still on the tray. I was like, the universe was like, just go to bed. Like, you can deal with the wraps in the morning. And that was the universe's way of saying, don't worry, I got your back. We're going to fix this. You'll see tomorrow. But so I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. I left them in the dehydrator and I let them fully dehydrate because I was like, I'll just let them dehydrate and then I can just like scrape them off. And maybe I have to write a new book because I was so disappointed in the wraps I was making. So the next morning I got up and I went to the dehydrator. When I pulled the trays out and I pulled it off, I was like, what? And so I like pull it off and then we wrapped it and it was solid and it was soft, but it was still like, you know, it held everything together. It didn't get soggy. And I was like, so I tried more recipes, like the recipes that I had been trying. The secret was not to flip it. That was one of the main problems. I mean, there's a variety of different things, like what you put in the wrap really matters. And somebody was asking on my Instagram the other day why I use onions in the wraps, and the inulin in the onions and the sweetness of the sweet onions actually makes the wrap even better. So the flavor of the onion, but it doesn't irritate the stomach because once you blend the onion, a lot of the irritant vapors leave, especially when you're dehydrating it for 12 hours. A lot of the irritant is gone. So people who are sensitive to onion typically are able to do onion powder because onion powder doesn't have the irritants in it like they would raw. So yeah, so blending it and dehydrating it, the onions are totally fine. Like people should be fine. I mean, I can't say guarantee, but should be fine with those. And then like the special mix of fruit and the vegetables that I use a small amount of chia and psyllium, but it's like 1 tablespoon per wrap. So it's not a lot. They're low fat wrappers. I mean, the high fat depends on what you put in it. Like if you're slathering cashew cheese on it, it's going to be high fat. But for the most part, they're low fat wraps. You just put veggies inside. You have a low fat dressing. Like they're so good. So that has been a really big game changer for us. Is the wraps. And during this bundle time, Nate and I have been going live like 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And we haven't had time to, like, we have time in the morning to blend our smoothie, but like lunch is like, when's that going to happen? Because we're like so on, like trying to promote this bundle. So what we've been doing is the night before bed, we blend the wrap, we pour it, we spread it, we put it in the dehydrator. It takes less than 15 minutes. So you go in the kitchen, blend it, pour it, spread it, and the spreading is really nice. It's my favorite part.
I watch
it's really like
do it.
meditative.
Yeah, I watch you meditating as you do. It's beautiful the way you do it. So
thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy that part of making the wrap. So I look forward to it. It's like, just blend it. Just get off your butt and go blend the wrap. It's not going to take you long, right? So I get up and I blend the wrap, and then we have wraps the next day. Like we have wraps that are already wrapped in the fridge waiting for us for lunch. All we have to do is open the fridge and eat.
And you make it look very appetizing. You wrap it in this paper that looks like you got it at a deli, and it makes it even more appetizing because you could pretend you just went to the local deli, got yourself a wrap, and oh wow, look at this. So you know, there's just like the presentation alone it makes it more appetizing. So yes, so that book is like next level. I'm going through this book, people. Like one wrap is better than the next. And the colors that, like there's a purple one and an orange one. I mean, it goes on, and the different flavors, it is beyond what you even can imagine. So if you just even get it for the wraps, it's worth getting the bundle. But you will like other things. I'm just saying, if you just get it for the wraps, you've gotten your money's worth. So there is another book
Aw.
that you have made with Chef AJ that I'd like you to tell everybody about.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I do have two contributions in here. It's the wrap book and then the one that I wrote with Chef AJ. So what we did was last year we wrote a book called Make It Raw, where I took her recipes and I made them raw. So it's like people who really like Chef AJ's stuff, they can make a raw version, which is cool too, right? So that book was a big success because I used sunchokes, marinated sunchokes in place of potatoes. So it was really cool to be able to make raw versions of those dishes. And plus sunchokes are a new staple in my diet for gut health because they're one of the highest foods in inulin, which is a prebiotic for the microbiome. So I eat a lot of sunchokes. And it was really fun to play around with those recipes because, like Chef AJ likes her starches. So I was like, let's make, a raw version with the sunchokes. So that book did really well. I had a lot of positive response for it. So when this bundle came around and we all had to make new content for it, I was like, hey, Chef AJ, do you want to make a volume 2? And she was like, yes. So I took her recipes and we made them raw. And so this ebook that you get in the bundle as well, along with my wraps book and everyone else's content for that matter, like there's 40 things in there. My mom just said, I just made your enchanted enchiladas for dinner tonight. That's so awesome. And that recipe is in the Make It Raw book to make the enchanted enchiladas. And there's 28 recipes in this ebook. There's like the mushroom risotto, which I absolutely, Nate said it's one of his favorites. There's some salads in there. There's a tomato rice and beans. There's like a Buddha bowl style salad in there. But there's 28 recipes. So it's, there's her ratatouille. I made a raw version of that just for her. So it's a really cool book. Just like different styles of things that you can make just as a raw version of it. And yeah, people can be they can find so many cool things in the bundle. Like Chris Kendall has this brand new stews ebook where he has 21 raw stews and they're so filling. Like people who say that a raw diet isn't filling, they need to make more food. Like they need to try more recipes and eat more food because his recipes are really filling and he's got really cool techniques on how to make it have the same texture or a similar texture to cooked food. So if people are craving some kind of like a stew or like a cozy bowl of something sauce, his stews are incredible. We already made 3 from his book. We made the Irish stew, the super stroganoff, and the Ethiopian lentil wat. All of them were phenomenal and highly recommended. But you get it in the bundle. Like there's over 400 recipes in the bundle.
So when you did go raw initially, did you have any problems with too much fiber? Because I get that question a lot. And then you're having digestive issues, and so how do you deal with that at the beginning?
Oh, great question. Great question. So that's why I say people need to work with their gut instead of against it, because so many people when they hear about raw, they're like, they get really excited. They want to do everything 100% perfect and they load their body up with fiber, but they're, depending on where they're coming from, like if they already have a weak gut or they're coming from a diet that's really low in fiber, they're going to have challenges because it's not the food that's the problem. It's their weak microbiome that isn't able to handle that much food at that time. So instead of saying, broccoli is not human food, or broccoli, I'm never going to eat broccoli or beans again because they make me feel bad. Instead of eliminating them, lower the amount that you're eating, right? Of these specific things that irritate. Like eat an abundance of calories from the food that feels good, like tender leafy greens and fruits and, the vegetables that feel good, like tomatoes and cucumbers and whatever feels good. But then the other foods, you don't want to eliminate them. You want to lower the amount to an appropriate amount for your gut. And it's going to be different for everyone. Some people need to start out with 1 tablespoon of chopped broccoli. They can't do a cup because it's too much for their weak microbiome. So, but if they start small, they can work up. It's just like going to the gym. I love the gym analogy because our microbiome is very much like a muscle. It
Mm.
grows when it's challenged. So
Mm-hmm.
if we challenge our gut grows. And people are scared to challenge their gut because for some reason, they're scared of having gas. And it's like, well, gas is a sign that your gut's working. It's
Yeah.
the excessive gas and bloating, which is just a sign that you ate too much fiber for your gut. And you just have to start going slow, right? So we challenge our lungs with breath work, so our lungs get better. We challenge our heart with cardio, so our heart gets stronger. We challenge our mind with meditation, so our
Mm-hmm.
mind gets stronger, or puzzles, for example. We put our bodies in various states of discomfort in order for them to grow, and it's no different for our gut microbiome. Like, people think they need to give their gut a rest. Well, our heart doesn't get a rest. Our lungs don't get a rest. Our brain never gets a rest. Why do we feel like our gut needs a rest? Our gut doesn't need a rest. Our gut needs fiber, and our gut needs support. It doesn't need zero food. Like, when you starve your gut, you're weakening your microbiome. It's akin to laying on the couch. Laying on the couch feels good. It sure does. Like, I mean, who are we kidding? We like to lay on the couch. But you're not challenging your muscles. So if you are eating a low fiber diet, that's like laying on the couch. You need to start increasing your fiber slowly. So like, if you go to the gym, you're not going to start with the 100-pound weights, right? You're going to start with the 5s, and that's okay. It's okay to start with where you're comfortable with, but you're not supposed to stay there. You increase the weights as your muscles increase, just like you would increase your fiber amount and variety when your gut gets stronger. So then eventually, over the months and years, you can enjoy a wider variety of plant foods with all kinds of different fibers and all different kinds of combinations, because people who have issues with the combinations, that's just a sign that their gut is weak, in my opinion. Because Nate and I mean, when I first started, yes, I had gut issues. I mean, I had candida for 15 years, and I had like severe gas and bloating, like so painful that I couldn't sit or lay or stand, or like no matter what position my body was in, it was so painful. And I resorted to like enemas to release the gas because it was just so intense. But another thing that people don't realize is that it's not just the food that you're eating. That's very important. But people forget that there's mechanics and physical things that we have to do to improve our digestion. So you could be eating a bowl of fruit in a perfect combination, but if you are not chewing your food, if you're talking during meals, you're drinking a bunch of water, and you're sitting for hours after you eat while you're talking to your friends, that fruit, even though it's the perfect food or whatever, is going to feel like a rock in your stomach because you didn't do the mechanics of digestion. We have to chew our food. Our digestion begins in the mouth. And then our stomach is like, okay, now that it's digested, now I can continue my job, right? We have to chew our food, and I don't think people realize how much they need to chew their food. I use the analogy of 2 jars. If you have 2 jars and you fill one of them with big rocks, you can only fit so many in because there's like all this space in between. And that's like not chewing your food or swallowing a lot of the chunks whole. People are like, I don't digest corn. I see it in my stools. I'm like, well, it's not because you don't digest corn. It's because you didn't chew it. You swallowed it whole. Like your stomach's looking up and like, you didn't do your job. Right? Like, our stomach isn't our teeth. Like, we need to chew. It's so important. So if we chew, I challenge people, next time you eat, chew one bite 80 times, like count to 80. But it's not like we have to chew every bite till 80. It's more of a challenge to make us realize how much we don't chew enough. Right? So it's more of a challenge. It's like more for a contrast. So if you chew 80 times, you'll really feel the consistency of the food that's in your mouth. It'll feel like you're chewing on almost nothing by the time you get to 80 or 100. Right? And that is what, so if you have the analogy of the jars and you have all the rocks in one jar, that would be like putting sand in the other jar. You can fill all the spaces and you can fit a lot more into it when it's finer than swallowing giant chunks. So it's very important to chew our food. it's important not to talk a lot while we're eating, because then you're swallowing a lot of air. But if you're talking a lot too, you're not chewing enough either. So it's like double whammy, right? So yeah, and then get up and move after meals if that's something that helps you, right? Like most people need to get up and take a little walk, or get up and wash the dishes, or just walk around the house. Like get everything moving so that like helps the digestive process. But the
I'm sure a lot of people don't even think about what you just said about that chewing process and the two jars. That's a great analogy. So I'm hoping people are taking this away and incorporating it, because that's a gem right there. I'm just going to take a few more minutes to see if anybody has questions, because this is a treat to have Lissa on. So if anybody has, I know that Team Newman way back asked about the wrap. She wanted to know the texture. Is it doughy? Is it what's the texture?
You know what? There really isn't like a description necessarily, but it is like a wrap. I mean, a wrap is a wrap, right? They're wheat and it's chewy, but it's soft, and it's like, to me, it's like a wrap. And they are soft, they're flexible, they're pliable, they're not super like rock hard crunchy. They do have you do have to like bite into it. But I mean, it's a wrap. Like it's not fruit leather, but it's not a wheat wrap. So it's kind of in between. It's fibrous, it's soft, it's pliable, it's tasty, and it holds the food. It doesn't get soggy as, like, I mean, if you wrap it with tomatoes, you know, just like a regular wrap, it's gonna get soggy if you put lots of like watery stuff in it. But you know, it's a wrap.
It's delicious.
I like to put
it is almost like you're eating bread. You will not say, oh, well, yeah, it's raw. No, you will say, like, this is amazing. It's like a regular wrap. It's even better because it has a little bit more, it's thicker than a real wrap. So, I mean, at least the way I made it, it just was so satiating. You will not believe that it's only made from fruits and vegetables. I mean, it is a miracle. It is a miracle. Just do it. You will love it. Another C. Tracy is asking, please repeat the name of the testing center.
It's Ombre Lab. I'll put it in the chat again. So here, Ombre Lab. There's another one called Viome, Viome. They're another testing company as well, which are equally good. Like, I love Ombre Lab because I've been using them for now almost 2 years, and I've met the owners, like the CEO and some of their marketing guys and stuff. So I have like a special connection to Ombre.
Okay, thank you for that. And then Dulcin Raw is asking, what are your thoughts on juice fasting? Juice, I think she means juice fasting. She said juice feasting, but I think she meant juice fasting.
So juice feasting is the term that they like to use because they're feasting on just juice. Yeah. I'm not into the juice fasting. I don't think it's necessary. And this is just my opinion. I know it's very unpopular in the raw community. I personally, if I can't do it for the rest of my life, I'm not going to do it for short term. So I'm not into the juice fasting. I think the juice fasting and feasting can be detrimental to the gut microbiome because you're eliminating the vast majority of fiber. Yeah, there's a little soluble fiber in the juice that can still feed some of your gut bacteria, but you're eliminating a lot of that. And also a lot of people who do juice feasting are doing way too much like sweet or juicy, like orange juice or pineapple and apple, and like they're using a lot more fruit. If you're gonna do juices, I'm on the same page as John Kohler, where it should be like 90 to 95% greens and bitter, and it should be gross. Like you should, like you're like not, you don't want to drink it, because that's the thing. Like with the juice, it's like, oh, sweet or whatever, but it's a rush of sugar into your bloodstream, and it's just that scientific fact, right? Like you take out the insoluble fiber and it's going to be a rush of sugar into your bloodstream. So it's going to affect your insulin. That much fruit sugar can cause cross-linking, which can cause premature aging in the skin. And it's just like, to me, it's just not necessary. I don't think it's, I never did a juice fast when I went raw in 2014. I just went raw. And I started eating whole food to fuel my gut microbiome. And I know people who have had microbiome testing done who do a lot of juicing, who have 20% less microbiome score than Nate and I do. Nate and I both have very similar scores. Mine's 93, his is 91. But the people who are raw, who've been raw longer than we have, who do a lot of juice, have lower scores than we do. And they are thinking it's because they don't eat as much whole food as we do. So I think that there's something very special about the insoluble fiber that we may not know yet scientifically why, but the whole food, the way nature made it, eat the fiber. Like everyone's like composting it, or maybe they might make a cracker. Like, but let's be honest, who's making crackers and eating them from their juicing? Like, it's like they're composting that stuff, and it's like so much of the nutrition in the insoluble fiber. Like we drink, or people are drinking the juices, like they think they're getting a lot of nutrition from it, but the polyphenols and a lot of the antioxidants and really powerful stuff that's in the fruits and vegetables is in the insoluble fiber that is only released when your gut digests it. Your microbiome releases the polyphenols from the insoluble fiber that you're throwing away when you are juicing it. So even though you are getting like nourishment, which is, I mean, it's better to drink a juice than it is to drink a soda, by far. Do that. But I think that if you're going to do juices, have them as a small supplement to a high whole fiber diet. You're eating the whole fruit. You're eating the whole fiber in smoothies. You're eating salads. You're eating the whole food. You're chewing. And a lot of times just drinking a lot of juice atrophies our jaw muscles, which can affect our breath. We need to chew to build our breath passageways, right? Like there's so many intricate things that happen with chewing. It's part of overall holistic health. So those are my thoughts on it. Again, I know it's unpopular because everybody loves juicing. We don't juice. We'll maybe have a juice once in a blue moon, like if a friend makes it, or if we're out and about and like, you know, there's a juice bar or whatever. But it's so random. I would say like maybe 4 to 6 times a year we'll drink a juice. The rest of the time we do smoothies and eat salads.
I'm with you on that. Thank you so much, Lissa, for imparting your wisdom today. I certainly appreciate it. I'm sure everybody here appreciated it. We are very lucky to have you as our leader in this space. So thank you again. And if anybody has any questions after we get off, how can people get in touch with you?
We're off Food Romance. You can actually tap at the very top of the live. There's, you can see Debbie and I in there. You can come follow me on Instagram at Raw Food Romance. And I am here to answer your questions. So send me a message because you're going to get me answering. I don't have an assistant doing my social media, so it's all me. And I'm very happy to help people out. But I want people to go get the bundle. Go to Debbie's page, click the link in her bio or mine. Doesn't matter. Go get the bundle before it's gone. You're getting $1,800 worth of brand new raw vegan content for $50. And my new wraps.
Yes.
You can make wraps.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. You can't go wrong and you won't regret it. There will not be buyer's remorse. We promise. It's the best $50 you will ever spend in your life. So get the bundle.
I love that.
We are going to leave you with that thought. Thank you, Lissa, for coming on. We honor you and we are so grateful to have you. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Mwah.
Thank you so much. Mwah.